as one of your core holdings, doesn't have to be your only one, but as one of your core holdings, you should accumulate over time. You should. And especially for young people, what people forget is, for whatever reason, they're like, no, I should have a diversified portfolio when I'm young. No, you shouldn't. You should have a super concentrated portfolio when you're young, because you already have this big piece of fixed income, which is your future earning that's going to come in the future. And so what you should have in the short run is private equity, venture capital, real estate, stocks, all the high volatility assets that you can own when you're young. And Bitcoin is certainly one of those. And in fact, Bitcoin as a part of a diversified equity portfolio, it's the greatest addition because it's uncorrelated with your other equity. If you're listening to this, we've already won. It's inevitable. Name a technology, anyone, name a technology that once it got to critical mass, you put it back in the bottle and it went away.
Today's video is a clip from my interview with hedge fund manager and founder of Morgan Creek Capital, Mark Yusko. If you want to see the full interview, it's packed with price predictions, and Mark reveals what he thinks is the best exit strategy for crypto in 2024. If you want to check it out, it's the first link in the description. But without further ado, let's jump in with Mark Yusko. Do you think we see these 4-year cycles just essentially forever into the future? We see the speculators and gamblers come in, they push it up, and then we see this fall back to fair value. And if you do subscribe to that, do you think it's important to have an exit strategy? And when we get this FOMO and everyone's talking about it, people should be taking chips off the table? Or are you more of a, that's a fool's game, you should be dollar cost averaging, just hold it, it's the easier, more stress-free option that everyone should approach?
Great question. Love it. So I ascribe to the simple fact that I believe Bitcoin, little b Bitcoin, not big B Bitcoin, the token, but little b Bitcoin, the network, is the most powerful computing network the world has ever known, right? It's 1,400 times more powerful than the CERN supercomputer. Unbelievable. Which, by the way, someone showed me the logo for CERN, and it's a 666, blew me away. If you actually look at the CERN logo, it's got 666. Same with the Google thing. I mean, it blew me away. But just a fun fact, the Bitcoin network is 1,400 times more powerful than the CERN supercomputer. It's also the most important computing network in the history of the world because it's setting the new base layer for money. Gold has been the base layer of money for 5,000 years. Bitcoin will be the base layer of money for the next 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever. So my view is price is irrelevant. Price is a liar. Like literally, price is a liar. Price has nothing to do with value. Price is what two people exchange a small amount of any good or service. That's the price. Like the price of Microsoft stock. It is what it is if you have 100 shares. If you have 1 million shares, that is not the price. If you have 10 million shares, that is not the price. You got to go negotiate with somebody to buy your block. So price doesn't matter. What matters to me is owning a piece of the most valuable computing network in the history of mankind. That just seems like a good thing to own. Now, you don't have to own with all of your net worth, but everyone should own some. So my whole thing is hashtag get it off zero. Zero ownership of the most valuable computing network in the history of mankind seems like a bad trade. So own some. And so I was on CNBC, I don't know, 2017, 18, it doesn't really matter when it was. And the price literally, while I was only on for 6 minutes, but like while I was on the show, the price went from like 10 grand to 8 grand. And at the end of the segment, Melissa Lee says, so, price just collapsed. What should we do? All right, buy it. Just, what? Oh, you'd always say that. You'd always say buy it. I'm like, yeah, I would. Buy it today, buy it tomorrow, buy it next week, buy it next month. Don't buy it all at once. Buy some today. I mean, let's say you want 1% or 2% or 5% or 10%. That doesn't matter. Pick a number. Buy 1/10 of it today, 1/10 of it next month, 1/10 of it. Just keep accumulating. That ownership is really important. Now, if you also want to have a piece of trading capital, right? I'm not a trader. I don't really do this because I stink at it. I'm an investment guy. Fine. You want to buy the parabolas and sell at the top? Go for it. Just make sure you buy more at the bottom if you want to trade. But as far as the ownership piece, right? The piece that should be in everyone's portfolio, look at 1, 2, 3, 5, I don't care, whatever percentage. Just keep buying that and accumulating that no matter what the price, and just forget about it. It's just every 2 weeks, most people who have a retirement account, a 401k, are buying stock every 2 weeks. They don't even know it. They don't even think about it. It's just happening. So do the same thing with this. And I don't understand the difference, right? It's a better long-term asset because what it does is not only provide you with a means of growing your wealth, but it's also a hedge against the destruction of the currency we all live and work with, right? I mean, whether we like it or not, and I don't like it at all, and I talk about it all the time, Since 1913, the United States of America has decided that they're going to steal 2% of my wealth every year. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but on average, 2% every year through inflation. No, inflation is good for me. No, it's not. On what planet is over 30 years taking half your purchasing power good for you? There's no planet on which that is a good thing. And if you think about any country with higher than 2% inflation, tell the people of Argentina at 118% last month that somehow that's good for them. Or tell the people in Turkey who just lost 99% of their purchasing power that somehow the lira depreciating is good for them. Or tell the people in Venezuela that the bolivar is being worthless. I mean, I have a picture out in the hall that's made of bolivar. Like literally, they used it as the background of the painting. And I had this cool app that you put it up and it flames and you got a Bitcoin behind it. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, that's the answer, which is as one of your core holdings, doesn't have to be your only one, but as one of your core holdings, you should accumulate over time. Yep, you should. And especially for young people, what people forget is for whatever reason, they're like, no, I should have a diversified portfolio when I'm young. No, you shouldn't. You should have a super concentrated portfolio when you're young because you already have this big piece of fixed income, which is your future earning that's going to come in the future. And so what you should have in the short run is private equity, venture capital, real estate, stocks, all the high volatility assets that you can own when you're young. And Bitcoin is certainly one of those. And in fact, Bitcoin as a part of a diversified equity portfolio, it's the greatest addition because it's uncorrelated with your other equity. Because all your other equities are driven by economic growth, interest rates, and inflation. Bitcoin's not driven by any of that. It's driven by money supply technology and adoption. And the last thing I'll leave you with on that is, my generation, us boomers, we're going to leave $37 trillion to y'all's generation, the echo boomers or the millennials. That $37 trillion is not going to stay at UBS and Merrill Lynch and Vanguard. Just not. I mean, I say this all the time. I had 3 grandkids and my 1-year-old granddaughter, she will never have one of these. She will never have a leather wallet. She will never know what paper money is. She will only use digital assets in her lifetime. Think about that. She'll never drive a car. She'll never have a wallet. She'll have a digital wallet, but she won't carry around a plastic card. I mean, imagine how silly it will seem 10, 15, 20 years out that you would get out of your car and plug the plastic card into a machine. The car will just pay the machine and will drive away. I mean, you're on the freeway and you want to go in the fast lane. You won't have to take a picture of your license plate and get a thing in the mail for $4. The car will pay the will pay the fee. It's just, there's a whole world of decentralization that's coming. And the aha moment for me, and the reason I do this, and look, I'm an old guy doing a young man's game or a young woman's game. And I'm doing it because I had the aha moment, right? When I realized that blockchains were simply the operating system for the next generation of computing. The same way that mainframes ran on COBOL, still do today. No one can code in COBOL, but they still run on COBOL. In fact, MasterCard and Visa run on COBOL machines, which is ridiculous, right? But they do. And, PCs run on Windows and DOS, and, the internet runs on TCP/IP, and these things run on iOS and Android. And the internet of value, or the internet of everything, will run on blockchain. Once I had that epiphany, I couldn't unsee it. And once I realized that Bitcoin was the manifestation, the first use case of a blockchain, and it was digital money, again, I can't unsee that. And it doesn't mean there won't be other L1s. There might be. It doesn't mean there won't be other L2s and L3s. There probably will be. It doesn't mean there won't be other applications of blockchains. There will be. But we're at the very beginning. This is the fun part. Right? Everybody's it's over. Are you joking? 2024 is the first year of the digital age. I mean, I've been talking about this forever. 54 with the mainframe, 68 with the microchip, 82 with the personal computer, 96 with the internet, 2010 with the mobile net, and 2024 with the truth net, as I call it. And it's the beginning. So we're just beginning in this massive cycle where we move to a digital world. And we won't have physical pieces of paper. We won't exchange green pieces of paper or yellow piece of paper or red pieces of paper. Ridiculous. We won't carry around stuff in our wallet or our purse. We won't actually, keep stock certificates in file drawers in Dallas, Texas. Ridiculous. We'll have digital ownership, and every asset in the world will be a token, not a little round circle of gold, a line item on a ledger, permanent, immutable, and secured by encryption and cryptography. And that process liberates, and I use that term intentionally, $7 trillion that's wasted every year. Now, I say it's wasted. The banks, the brokers, the accountants, the auditors would say, well, that's our revenue you're calling waste. Like, yep, it is. And yeah, some of them will die and they don't want to die. So they're going to fight hard and, we're going to have to overcome. But it's like the old Mandela quote, from down on your side of the world that, first they ignore you. 09 to 15, bunch of nerds and geeks, go play with their magic internet money. Yeah, whatever. Then they laugh at you. 16 to 21, bunch of nerds and geeks, magic internet money, so who cares? Then they fight you. 22 to 27, now they're going to fight us. Okay, but the cool thing is we all know the last part of the line. Then you win. So if you're here, if you're listening to this, we've already won. It's inevitable. Name a technology, anyone, name a technology that once it got to critical mass, you put it back in the bottle and it went away. Air travel, biotechnology. Yeah, I love the one when the horseless carriage came out in New York. The street sweepers, the guys who swept up the horse poop. In fact, most people don't know this, but if you go downtown New York, the stoops, the front doors of houses are 9 feet above the street. Why is that? You can't get in. Well, in the olden days, the horse poop would stack up 4 or 5 feet, and they built sidewalks 9 feet high so you could walk into your house. And the dresses wouldn't drag. Now, the problem is you got drunk and you fell. It was bad, but okay. But those street sweepers wanted to keep their jobs. So when the horse's carriage came along, they lobbied, fancy word for corruption, the legislature to pass a law called the red flag law. We've all heard the term red flag. And the red flag law basically said you had to hire a human to walk in front of your car with a red flag, warning everyone that you were coming. Anyone ever seen, and it would be really hard to do at 55 miles an hour, but no, you've never seen anybody walking with a red flag because it was a stupid law. And inevitably, street sweepers don't exist anymore. So yes, we had to displace their jobs and we had to retrain them. But I love this part. Everybody says, no, every technology is evil because it erases jobs. Yes, it does. But here's a fact. We've eliminated millions and millions and millions of jobs with air travel, biotechnology, the internet, the mobile net, blockchains. Yet today we have more jobs in the world than any time in human history. And that's just the way it works. Human creativity is the greatest force known to mankind. And one of the cool things, if you ever listen to Jimmy's song, what Bitcoin does is it frees you from fiat slavery. And I know it's a politically charged word, but it frees you from from fiat slavery, and it allows you to unleash your creative potential because your money is not being stolen every day. Your money is accreting every day. And that is a mindset that it's hard for people to kind of get used to because they've only known a world where their money gets stolen every day.